Hello everyone, here we are at AY Stitches Fashion Academy and I want to welcome you all to this module. In this module we are going to be working with a trouser block pattern. And when we talk about a trouser block pattern, we are talking about a garment that is worn at the bottom part of the body figure. Alright, so from the waist to your desired length, either the floor length or your ankle length. Okay, so we have required measurements in order for us to draft our required trouser block pattern. So now the required measurement is the natural waist. When we talk about the waist measurement, is either we are considering the natural waist or you are considering your low waist. Alright, so not everybody puts the trouser on the natural waist and not everybody also put the trouser on the low waist. So just like our skirts. So depending on the person's preference. Okay, so you measure your waist all around the waist measurement, your desired waist, all right, where the person puts a trouser. Then also the hip, the fullest part of the lower body, all around. Then the waist to the hip, so the distance of where you took the waist measurement to where you took the hip measurement. And the body rise measurement, so the body rise measurements can be taken in two different ways. Is either you measure the in leg, subtracting it from the out leg, or you measure the person from the waist while seated. So from the waist to the seat level. Then the length measurement is taken from where you took the waist measurement to your desired length. So either you are going to be working with your ankle or the floor length. Then the bottom width is taken all round the ankle. So now, let's do a practical aspect of taking the measurements. So the waist measurements will be taken all round. So making sure two fingers or a finger can go through it. Alright, so you note it down, the waist measurement. The hip measurement, taking the hip measurement all around the fullest part of the lower body figure, which is all around the buttocks. Then also the waist to hip measurement. So the distance of where you took your waist measurement to where you took your hip measurement. Then the body rise measurement. You can measure from the in leg, alright, to the length and get the length measurement to your desired length. So you subtract the in leg from the out leg, you can get your body rise from it. Or you tell the person to sit on the chair, then you measure from the waist to the seat level. So that is how we can get our body rise measurement. Then the length, as I have said, from the waist to the ankle or the desired length, floor length. Then the bottom width, all round the ankle. So make sure that it goes below your feet all round, making sure a finger or two fingers can also go into it. So these are the required measurements we are going to be using to draft the trouser block pattern. Please note, all measurements that we are going to be using is working with centimeters. Now we are working with centimeters because we are working with the metric pattern block, alright, and it is drafted in centimeters. Okay, so we move on to drafting the trouser block. So the first thing you need to do first is to get your balance line. So make sure that this line is straight. Okay, so now once you've gotten your balance line, what you need to do is to measure the length of the trouser. Now you're going to be subtracting 4 cm. The 4 cm is for the band height. Because the band height is an external piece that we're going to be adding to the trouser when sewing. So you have to deduct the band height. So eventually, by the time you fix your band into it, it gives you your trouser length measurement. So now deducting 4 cm away from the length of 104, that gives us 100 centimeters. So you're going to be measuring 100 centimeters So now this gives me my what? 100 centimeters. So all I just need to do is to square across. So here I have what? My trouser length. Don't forget, you have to deduct your 4 centimeter for band height away from it. So the next thing for you to do is to measure your body rise measurement, which is 28 centimeter. Now don't forget, the 4 cm for band height must be deducted also from the body rise measurement, which we have that as what? 24 centimeter. I also square across. All right, so now what I need to do now is to also get my waist to hip measurement. So the waist to hip measurement also minus what? 4 centimeter of what? The band height. So what I'm going to be having is what? 16.6. So I also square across. So now the last important line I'm going to be getting is to get the knee length. And how do we get the knee length? Straightforward. From this point, which is going to be what? Your crouch line, all the way to your M line. So you measure it. What I have is 76. 76 divided by 2, which gives me what? 38. So now, from that 38 you've gotten, you're going to be deducting 5 centimeter away from it. So that gives me what? 33. So that is going to be giving us our knee length. So the next thing for you to do is to square across also. So why I'm deducting that 5 centimeter is to get the actual knee length. Now I have all my important lines. So this is my what? My knee line. M line. Hip line. Waistline. Then I have my crouch line. So these are the important lines that you need to get first before we move on to the trouser block. The next thing I'm going to be doing is to get what? 1/12 of my hip measurement. And 1/12 of my hip measurement 94. So 1/12 of my hip measurement is 7.8. So you're going to be taking the measurement from the balance line at the crotch line, so 7.8. Then you are going to be squaring it up alongside the hip line and also the waistline. So the 7.8 so this is the 1/12 of my hip measurement. So at this point, once you have this, all you just need to do is to take in 2 centimeters at the waistline from the squared up line. So the next thing I need to get is 1/16 of my hip measurement. So 1/16 of my hip measurement minus 1 centimeter, which gives me what? 4.8. So you're going to be measuring from the squared up line at the crotch line, 4.8. So now that we have this, we need to get what? The front crotch line. So all I just need to do is to connect from this 2 cm at the waistline down to my hip measurement. All right. Then to also connect from the hip measurement down to what? The in leg here. So I'm going to be connecting from the hip all the way down to the crotch line. Okay, so now that we have this, the next thing for us to do is to get what? Our hip measurement. So now, you're going to be getting your hip measurement. Divide your hip measurement by 4 minus 1.5. So 94 divided by 4 minus 1.5. What I have is 22. So you're going to be measuring 22 centimeter from what? The squared up line at the hip line. So that's my 22 centimeter. Your 68 centimeter, which is your waist measurement, divided by 4. So we have 17 centimeters. So you're going to be taking it from the 2 centimeter you took in. Then we have what? The waist point, the hip point. So now, moving on, what we need to do now is to connect the waist to the hip using the hip curve. Then moving on to the next thing, we need to get what? The M measurement. So how do we get the M measurement? So now you're going to be dividing your bottom width by 4. So bottom width divided by 4, that's 18.9. So 9 centimeter from the balance line on either side. So 9 centimeter on either side, you have your bottom width measurement. Then also at the knee, all you just need to do, you can as well take your knee measurement. So your round knee measurement, and all you just need to do is to divide your round knee measurement divided by 4 on either side. Or you can just add 1.5 to the figure of the bottom leg. But most of the time, it doesn't work for all the figures, especially when you are, some body figures have a wider lap than what's the bottom. So all you just need to do is get your knee measurement, all around the knee measurement, then divide your measurement by 4 and measure it on either side. Okay, so now that we have what? The M point, we also have the knee point. So all we just need to do is to connect the knee point all the way back to the crotch. Then from the knee point all the way back to the M line. Then also here, from the knee point all the way back to the hip point. So now I'm going to be connecting the points to each other back towards the crouch line and also the hip line. So for this part, I'm going to be using a straight line from the hip all the way down to the knee, and also from the knee all the way down to the bottom width. So here we have the out leg measurement. So for this part, I'm going to be connecting from the knee to the M line and also from the crouch line to the knee. So here I have what? The trouser block for the front. So now after drafting the front, you are still going to be drafting the back on it. So you are going to be using the front as a guide to also get what? The back. So this is the front trouser block. Okay, so now we're going to be moving straight to the back view. So what you need to do first for the back view is to divide the measurements you get from this point and this point. Divide the measurements by 4. So now let me measure. So what I have here is 7.5. 7.5 divided by 4 is 1.8. So you're just going to be taking the measurements from this line, 1.8. Okay, so once you have that point, all you need to do is to square up this point all the way to the waistline. So please, you need to note that the blue marker is for the back view. As I said when we're doing the front, that the back is always done on the front. So later on, we trace out the front, separating the front and the back together. So now, once I square up, the next thing for me to do is to measure 2 cm at the waistline, also raising it up by 2 cm. Then also raising it up from the waistline 2 cm. So you rule a straight line, that 2 cm above the waistline. So now that we've gotten this point, all you just need now to do is to divide from the waistline all the way to the crouch line. Divide your measurement by 2. So here I have 24, that gives me what? 12. So now, the next thing for you to do is to extend the crotch line in order for you to get the back crotch, because we need to connect the back in leg now. So now, all you just need to do is the measurement you have from here to here, you measure it. So here I have 4.8. So that same measurement, you are going to be extending your crotch line by that 4.8. So now that you have that 4.8, what you're going to be doing now is to bring down 0.5 centimeter from that point. Then we're going to be connecting from this 0.5 centimeter back to this midpoint here, then back towards the 2 centimeter above the waistline. So connecting from that point all the way to the midpoint here. Then also connecting from that 2 centimeter above the waistline back to the midpoint here. So now we have what? The back body rise. So the next thing for you to do now is to bring out 2 centimeter from the knee and also from the M line. So you measure out 2 centimeter. So now that I have my 2 centimeter extended, at the knee and also the M line, I'm going to be connecting those 2 centimeters to meet each other. Okay, so once I have this, you connect from the 0.5 back to what? The 2 centimeter at the knee. Now, moving on to get what? The hip measurement for the back. So you are going to be dividing your hip measurement divided by 4 plus 1.5 centimeter. Don't forget, for the front we deducted 1.5, but for the back we are going to be adding that 1.5 to it. Why we are adding 1.5 to the back and deducting 1.5 from the front is because of the back is always wider than what? The front, because of the excess of the buttocks. So now the hip measurement, which is what? 94 centimeter divided by 4 plus 1.5 centimeter. So that gives me 25 centimeters. So I'm going to be measuring from this squared up line at the hip line. 25 centimeter. So that is what? My hip point. So now to get my waist point, all I just need to do is to divide my waist measurement. So my waist measurement divided by 4, and I have my waist measurement as what? 68. So divided by 4 of it is 17. So now you're going to be adding a dart to the back, and the dart width for the back is 4 centimeter. So now 4 centimeter plus the 17, that's 21. So all you just need to do is from the 2 centimeter you raised up at the waistline, you just measure 21 centimeter. So that gives us what? The back waist point. So I'm going to be connecting these points together from the waist to the center back waist, then from the waist through to the side seam back to the knee. So now this is it. You can see we now have what? The back pattern piece merged with what? The front. So the last thing we're going to be doing for the back pattern piece, don't forget we added a dart to the waist measurement, right? So now we need to get what? The dart location. And to get the dart location, all you just need to do is to measure what? Your back waist, which I have as 21. So get the midpoint, which is what? 10.5. So you are going to be squaring down this dart leg by 10 centimeter. So now for us to square down, all you just need to do is using your set square, or use your ruler like this. Let this line be on the waistline and this point, and you just rule down. So once you've done that, all you just need to do is to get the length, which is what? 10 centimeter. All right. So now this is the midpoint for the dart. So now don't forget we added 4 centimeter for the dart width, isn't it? So now all you just need to do is to measure 2 centimeter on either side and connect it to what? Your dart point. So this gives us what? The triangular dart for the back trouser pattern. So now we're going to be tracing out the front, which is the black line, and also the blue, which is the what? The back pattern block. So by the time we trace out separately, don't forget, no sewing allowance has been added to this block. So once we trace out the front separate from the back, then we had necessary sewing allowance before we sew, before we cut and sew. So now I'm going to be adding my sewing allowance to the trouser block. So for the hem line, I'm going to be adding 2 inches. Then for the in leg and the out leg, I'm going to be using 3/4. So don't forget, whatever sewing allowance you are adding to it must still follow the shape of what you've drafted as your trouser block pattern. Also, the sewing allowance must not be more than this sewing allowance we are adding now, because it's a trouser pattern and we don't add too much allowance to it. So I have added at the crouch 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch at the in leg, and also at the out leg, 1/2 inch at the waistline, and 2 inches for the hem line. So now I'm going to be connecting using a broken line so we can differentiate the sewing allowance from the major pattern itself. So now I'm going to be cutting out. So here I have what? My back trouser pattern with all necessary sewing allowance added to it. So now I've added my sewing allowance just as I did for the back. So I'm going to be cutting it out. So this is my front piece of the pattern block with added sewing allowance to it. now we've come to the end of this module of drafting and cutting our trouser block, and I hope you've enjoyed it. Here we are at AY Stitches Fashion Academy. In our next module, we are going to be showing you how to sew the trouser block step by step. Don't forget to subscribe. Here we are at AY Stitches Fashion Academy. Thank you.